Hi everybody, Deanna here. I thought today that I would go through a little craft project. I use these on my desk and in different areas of my craft room to hold pens and whatever little trinkets I need to be held. I've got a couple examples here. Today we're going to be doing this can, which is probably like a large, maybe tomato can. So we're going to be working on that one today. And then this one I believe was like maybe like a baked bean can. And some of the cans have white inside. If they've got the white inside for my own craft room, I don't worry about it. If I'm doing them to sell, then I do cover that also. But for my own craft room, that's fine for me. That doesn't bother me at all. And you've got all different sizes of cans you can use. Some got the metal inside. Now they do make a can opener that cuts this so you don't have to worry about the sharpness. I've bought 2 of them and they don't seem to last very long. So I get a little discouraged when you pay, $12 for a can opener and it doesn't last very long. So if I use the regular can opener, then I cover this lip because I don't want myself or anybody else to get cut on that. If I use the other can opener, which removes this whole lip here and doesn't leave a sharp edge, then I don't worry about other than if I want to cover the edge. So, but they do have that option out there that you don't have to worry about. Here's one that sits on my desk, and as you can see, it holds all kinds of different things. And I actually have one on each side of my desk. So I have, if somebody's on the other side working, my desk is 4 foot by 4 foot. So there's another side over there, or another workstation on the other side. I sometimes have guests that come over to work with me, so I want them to have an area to work on also. And this one is a heavy one, but this one is on the other side of my desk. And as you can see, it holds a lot. And all I did was create the separate cans, get them all finished, and then glue them together. Now, some of these you can see that I painted the edge. You can do that. It doesn't seem to hold. It's hard because it's metal. So I think if maybe you use like the chalk paints or something, that might work good. These are some other ones that just sit in another work area. These hold my markers, my regular markers, permanent markers. And then these are more of my scrapbooking craft markers. And you can see, it turns out pretty nice. I didn't do anything to the bottom, but you could put a piece of felt or another piece of fabric on the bottom. This one is completely finished inside. This is not easy with fabric, but it is doable. This one, I did not do the inside. It's just white. This one here I made just to kind of hold my extra glue things. This is what I did the other day, and it's just got white on it. It's real simple. So you can cover them with paper, you can cover them with fabric. This is actually a ribbon that I bought. So let's set these aside and get started. This can here was a bean can. As you can see, it's white inside, but I do want to cover this edge because I don't want to get cut on it. So what I've done is I've cut about a 1-inch wide, and this is leather. I had this laying around, and the nice thing about leather or even vinyl is it's got a little stretch to it, so it makes it nice to work with. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of split that like in half, and I'm just going to glue that all the way around my edge. Now with metal and hot glue, as soon as the hot glue hits the metal, it seizes up because the metal's cold. So I like to put the hot glue, if I can, on the actual thing here, and it gives me a little time to work with it. So let's start with that. We're just going to fold that over the edge, and it doesn't matter really where you start. Well, let's start on the back where that seam is. We won't. The seam isn't going to be noticeable, but now we want to keep all of our seams in the same area. So now that we've got a seam here, that's where we'll start and end our paper when we put on, because we're going to put paper on this one. So And you can use paper, you can use fabrics, ribbons, whatever you want. You could paint the whole can if you wanted, if you know, don't have access to those other things. It's all up to what you want. And you can match these with your decor. You can use these in your kitchen or on your desk. They're just, I mean, the possibility of children, I mean, maybe for teenagers on their desks, their workstations, in their bedrooms. And it just makes a nice way to have everything right at your fingertips without spending a ton of money on things. I mean, you got cans already, or most people do. I mean, you open a can, wash it out really good. And if you don't want to finish the inside, you don't have to. If it's for your own purposes, and once you get something in, it's not going to be noticeable. So whether it's white or not on the inside doesn't matter. If you don't want to finish it, you don't have to. But I have found that for finishing the inside, paper works about the best. I'm going to give this a little stretch because I need it to meet there. So let's, there, see? And it doesn't have to be perfect because that's going to get covered up. And on the inside, there's going to be stuff in there, so I'm not worried about it. Now you can cover the inside with paper. This is just scrap paper. So you could just, and we'll do that with the other can just to show you how to do it. Just slide that down in there like that. See? And then it's covered. Don't have to worry about the bottom. But that makes an easy way to do that. So we're going to do that with the other can so you can see how that's done. Alright, so now I've got that. Now all we're going to do is we're going to take this. I've cut this. I measured my can. It was 5 3/4. All I did was cut my cardstock 5 3/4, left it 12 inches. And then that'll wrap right around there. Let's see, we'll start. Where's our little thing? There's our mark. So now this will go right up to that edge and right down to the bottom. And that'll be perfect. So again, I'm going to start on my paper. So I'm going to hold this where I want it. And then I'm going to kind of tip it back towards me so I can see that edge. And I'm going to put my hot glue right on that paper. And now I'm going to press it. And it is hot. Press it down. There we go. Set up really good. And once you come around the other side, excuse me, it'll hit that paper and it'll stick better to the paper. So now I want to just periodically just give that a little strip of glue. No rhyme or reason, just try to keep it even on the can there. Glue that down. Now the thing about hot glue is it can leave a bump, so I try not to use too much of it on there because I don't want that. I'm a little off. Let's see if I can peel that. Nope, it's staying. So what I'll do at the end is I'll trim that if I have to. I'll just trim it down. So I'm just going to go all the way back now. I've got that one. I got to try to get that off of there. Because it is crooked. Paper sticks pretty good. All right, well, you're staying, so I'm going to have to trim that off. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to start with a whole new piece because it's going to be way off. So, see? Now I'm done. We're just going to recover it. I have another piece of that. Let's put this off the side. I can actually put that in my scrap bin and use that for something else. I'm going to peel off this glue here so I don't have two bumps in there. And this is going to happen when you're trying to go around a round item because you end up off. Alright, let me cut that piece 5 3/4. There we go. And then we'll try again. Here we go. 5 3/4. We're going to start here. That's where our thing is. Alright. trying to remember to stay in line here. I'm going to do a practice little, because I'm just holding that with my thumb, so I want to do a practice thing to make sure that I'm staying kind of on line there. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that. Try not to move it at all, so it stays in line there. And I'm off. Double check it. Looks pretty good. Press it down. There we go. Now I'm not going to mess with that second line in there. For one, it was leaving a bump. For another, it was throwing me off. So I'm just going to bring this around and keep it tight as I can. And watch my edges there. Tight, tight, tight. And there we go. So I've got it nice and tight. Okay. Now fabric has a little more give to it than the paper, but it doesn't matter. There we go. Now I'm going to push you down and seal you. There we go. There. And it can go quite quick for some of these, especially if you're doing the paper. Paper makes it really easy. The leather is nice because you don't have to have a finished edge on that because it's leather. So, and it makes its own finished edge. You just have to make sure your cutting's good. All right. So that's the basics of that one. Now I have some different laces and things that I want to bring in. Here's some pretty beads. So let's see here. Now this can here, where did I put it? Because it's a small can, I just ran this small lace ribbon around there. And this is from Hobby Lobby. And Hobby Lobby has tons of different laces and stuff. This one here I got in a kit, and it's kind of like cotton too, but it's got the little birds on it. This is a little bit bigger. So I think we're going to go with this one because it's a little bit bigger for this bigger can. And maybe I'll run that along the bottom like so, and then bring this one around the top to tie it into the other one. So I'm just going to wrap that around, go a little past where they meet, and cut that. There we go. Alright. So let's run this around the bottom here. Find our line. There it is. We're going to keep all of our lines on this start and finish lines, hopefully on the same. There we go. Alright. We're just going to put a little hot glue there. Get that started. Now with the fabric ribbon, you can use fabric glue if you want to. But because this is right on this can and I've already got my hot glue gun right here, I'm just going to go with that. And what I'm also going to do is just run a little bead right along the bottom here. Just a real thin bead to help tack that down. There. Just a real thin bead. Hopefully I'm in frame here. It's kind of hard to watch the thing and do the, keep your eye on the product. Looks like I'm doing good. Of course you get hot glue on your fingers, but try not to press too hard so I don't burn myself. And we're just going to run that the rest of the way there. Just like that. Put that glue off. I'm going to take that, just run a little bead here, we go. And press that down. There. Now if you want, you can tack those, my glue strings off there. You can go along and tack all these down if you'd like, and I might do that later, but right now for time purposes I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to take my other one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure around. And I'll come back here. Snip. There we go. Go back to our point there. A little dab. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to run a real small bead of glue right at that edge. I'm going to try anyway. This is my big glue gun. I have one that has a really thin nozzle, which is nice, but I'm out of the sticks for that one. So, and they do make ones with interchangeable nozzles, I think, but you know, I don't use a bunch of other nozzles, so you know, I just do with what I have. Sometimes you just do, because you start spending, and it's like, how often do you use it? And you know, I've probably bought 4 or 5 different glue guns, and some I just end up giving away because it's like, oh, that one looks better, you know. And that's not that they're that pricey, but you know, you can get them Hobby Lobby and use a 40% coupon, or Michaels and use a coupon, but sometimes you just learn to use what you have. Alright, so I'm just going to put another little bit of glue there. We're going to get this down there like that. Perfect. There. And that one is pretty much done. I'll probably go through and just maybe tack that down with my art glitter glue just to hold it. But that one is done. Our next one we're going to do a little bit different. This one already has the leather on it. I've already done that. This, we're going to take this. Oops, I already have one cut. So this is what I use, but I have one cut because I wanted to save time. And what I did was I took the art glitter glue after I cut it, and I just ran a bead along there and kind of pushed it with my fingers, and that helps stabilize that edge. And then to cut burlap, it's really easy because it automatically has its own little lines to follow. So make your mark and just kind of follow up in that little line there. And I think I got this at Hobby Lobby, but I'm not 100% sure. And if I did, it was probably in the wedding section. Don't forget to look in different sections of the store, because you don't have to always go to like the sewing ribbon section. Check out the wedding area, because they have a lot of different ones there that they don't have in the other departments. So trying to keep that in mind when you're looking, kind of think out of the box a little bit. I know we like to gravitate to the same areas and buy the same things. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue right on there. And I'm going to stay about 1/4 inch away from the bottom, because because this is just a little bit longer than my can, I'm going to fold that over and glue that under. See, this one's going to come together extremely fast because we already did the leather. Now you could do this with, I wouldn't do it with paper, but we're going to do one with muslin, and then so you could do that with that. But you could take scrap fabric. It doesn't have to be a big piece. It just has to fit around your can. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a brand new piece of fabric. You know, you might be able to get away with like an old pillowcase or old sheet or something, you know. See? And that's just, and that can is basically going to be done. We're just going to glue around that edge on the bottom and just kind of fold it over. Just set that up a little bit here. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue right there, and we're just going to fold that over and hold it. Okay. Try to make these as simple as possible. And I'm telling you, these things are nice. It helps keep my room organized. I know right where things are. Like I said, I have one on each left side of my desk and on the right side of my desk. And I keep pencils and pens and rulers and stuff in both of them, so I can just reach over and grab one. Scissors are in both. My smaller scissors are in my left one, and my two big scissors, one is for paper, one is for fabric. Those are on my right side. So it just helps me know exactly where things are. My marker ones, they sit on another countertop that I have in my room. And it just makes it really nice. And, you know, why not use things you're going to throw away anyway? You know, recycle it. I'm not wasting any, you know, cardstock or chipboard to try to make a box or anything. I'm just utilizing something that I would just either recycle or throw away. So makes it kind of nice. You get sick of it, you can either recycle it or throw it away then, or just peel everything off and redo it if you change your room. You don't have to. And seeing that. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a piece of felt and cover the bottom, but like I said before, this is for my own personal use, and it does not bother me. It's not going to scratch the surface of anything, so it really doesn't bother me. Now, for the inside of this, I wanted to show you how to do this. Now, this has got writing on it. That doesn't bother me because that's going to face the inside of the can. What you're going to do is slide this in your can, and you're going to spread it out as far as you can. Oops, I got my markings already on there. You're going to spread it out so it fills the can. You're going to take a pencil, and you're going to kind of hold that, and you're just going to mark it. Okay? Try to get down the bottom there. Just gently mark it. It doesn't have to be a big mark, just a little mark. And what that does is shows you how far away you want to glue. So for this, I'm not going to use the hot glue. I'm just going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm going to run a bead right there. I'm going to bring my tunnel back to that point, and then hold it. You see in there? Hold that. I have to put a little bit more glue right there. I'm going to actually lay it on the table here and press on it. See if I can get it to stick then. Oops. Part of it. If I get part of it to stick, then I can let that set up and then do the other part. Here we go. Yeah, when working with round things, it's not always easy. All right. All right. That's pretty good. So now we're going to slide that back in there. See? Now, I personally will not try to adhere that to the inside of the can. It's a little hard, and it's going to sit in there. Now, what you could do is put this in first, then put your leather on the outside, but it's not necessary. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil, and I'm going to lightly mark all around this circle, so I know exactly the height that this is going to need to be. So just lightly mark all the way around. There we are. I'm going to pull this back out. And you can cut this down to whatever it needs to be before you glue it together. I just figured this way, if I'm off a little bit, then I'm okay. So I'm going to slice down to my mark, and then I'm going to come in on an angle and slice back into that to try to give my scissors some room here. That's the only reason to do that. And then, in fact, I might need to do it even a little bit more. Slice. There we go. Just till I get enough room in there. Okay. So, I don't want to do this. All right, let's do it this way. It seems to be working good this way. So, now I'm going to actually take that line so I don't have to worry about it being visible. I'm just going to cut just underneath it. Just to take it. And if this sits down in there a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. Like I said, if aesthetically it bothers you that you can see that lip on there, then feel free to put this in first and then cover it. And then we're going to slide you right back in there. Let's hope we got it out. We can slide it back in. There we go. There. Yeah, pretty much done. Now, if you want to decorate this with more lace, you can. I don't think I need to, but you know, you could put a row of pretty pearls on there. You know, but these are just for my craft room, so I'm just going to leave it as is. To me, that's perfect. So we've got 2 of them done. Now our next one is going to be done with muslin. So let me clear this stuff out of my way. Now prior to this, I cut my muslin, and what I did was I took it, and this runs, and you can get this different heavinesses and stuff at the fabric stores, and it runs fairly cheap. It's not real expensive, and you don't need a ton of it. You could get, you know, a 1/4 of a yard if you needed to. So what I did was I took my muslin, I measured my can, let's say my can was 4.5 inches. So I took it and I made pencil marks on my muslin. I just went down from my edge and just marked 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches. Took my ruler, lined it up with those marks, and drew a line. And I continued that for the length that I needed. And I cut that, and once that was cut, and then I added an inch. You want an inch because you want to have a seam. So I gave this an extra inch. See how this is like a rough edge? And you can sew it. If you have a sewing machine and you like to sew, by all means, go right ahead. I just don't want to bother getting my sewing machine out for this type of project. But if you want that perfect finished look and that's what you want to do, you go right ahead. So now what I've done with this first 1/2 inch was I went and I marked an inch. Did the same thing like I did with the can, marked at inch intervals, and then I laid my line. That way I knew that I had where to pull down for my 1/2 inch mark. And I use fabric glue for this. I use Elaine's Fabric Fusion. And then I recommend if you're going to use something like that, lay a piece of wax paper or something under your project, because it does go through the fabric and it will leave a sticky mess all over. And it actually, you can see it on my fingers, it peels like skin. I've even washed my hands a couple times and I still got some of that peeling off where I just rubbed that in. And all I did was lay a bead of that Fabric Fusion on there, and then I folded over to my inch line mark and met that with that. Did that all along my edge. Now this is plenty. This I actually, because I cut this so long, will have enough to finish some other cans. But I figured, well, I had it out. So now this next one, and you can use hot glue. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to measure up an inch. And I'm going to make a mark. Measure up an inch. And then this allows for, if your fabric is a little crooked from your cut, you know, this hopefully will compensate a little bit. Now I don't need all of this because I'm only doing one can, so I'm going to kind of mark where I need this. And see, that's going to get that nice finished edge. So we're only going to go to like here. And I want to add a little bit because I want that to be folded over too. This edge I don't care. And actually this is a finished edge from the fabric, so that would be the nice one to have out. So right there. So let's see how long that is. That is about 7 inches. Actually, I got my ruler backwards. That is about 11 inches. I'll make a mark. Is that my right mark? And make sure. Okay. And then mark that too. There we go. Like a line. We're going to cut this. And that's, to me, is the easiest way to do it. And this is not an exact science by any means. This is just a quick method that I hope is easy for you to follow. I like the looks of the muslin ones. They turn out pretty. I'll show you one here. And I thought I had one out, but I guess not. Alright, so now let's make our line for our other inch here. We just line up those two. And I'm just going to bring it over. And that gives me that pencil line on there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a light pencil line on there. And all that allows me to do is to bring this up to that line. So I know that that is a 1/2 inch. And then that should be the height of my can. So I'm not going to use the Fabric Fusion for this one because it takes a while to dry. I'm just going to do a light bead of hot glue. I like the Fabric Fusion because it doesn't leave that stiffness. So I'm going to just do a little bit of time and try to pull that so that's stiff. Your hot glue tends to leave that stiffness, and I don't like that, especially on fabric. So I'm going to lay it and then just kind of press it. So, and try to lay as thin of a layer as possible, and that will help too. The thicker the layer of glue, the more it's going to show up and have a tendency to be stiff and visible. But it's a lot faster, and you don't have to wait for it to dry. This didn't take too long to dry. Now they say that Fabric Fusion is washable and all that kind of stuff. I kind of use it just for my craft projects that way. If it's not, then you can hem pants with it or whatever. I guess it's a permanent. This says it's a permanent fabric adhesive, and I've never had any problems with it coming undone on anything I made. So, but they don't typically get washed either. All right. So this is our finished edge, which you might not always have. So if you don't, it's not going to matter. You're going to take your unfinished edge and you're going to line that up. Now I'm going to be just a little bit long, but that's fine. So for this, then I'm going to put my hot glue here, like with my other ones. So I have time to work with it before it hits that metal can. There we go. And I have tried it the other way, but I'm telling you, that hot glue hits that metal and it just seizes right up. So we're just going to take that, stretch it around our can. We've got plenty here, which is fine. That's fine. And see that finished edge? Now if you didn't have a finished edge there, then just take that extra 1/2 inch, just like you did. And I've got a lot, so I could even go back further. But just lay your line of glue and press that over just like you did for your other two. That's all there is to that. Alright. So now I'm going to pull this as I'm rolling it. Try to keep it tight. And I'm just going to continue to roll it and watch my edges to make sure they're lined up. I'm going to take my hot glue. I'm going to run a bead right along here. Whoops. And then I'm going to roll this right into it. There. And then smooth it out. There. That can is covered. Now this was a black bean can, and it was washed, but you can see that the black bean stained in it a little bit. So, there. Now for this one, I got this pretty ribbon here. It's kind of a burlap. And I think I'm going to take this string, because I do have this can here. This is the other can that I made with that muslin. See, and I added the felt, and then I just ran some of this jute. This is just, I believe it's from Hobby Lobby. And I just ran some of that along the middle. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to put a little glue right there. And I'm going to tear that. And then I'm just going to start wrapping just to get a good amount. And we're going to cut that. I have no idea what that does. They're just going to have to wait. And then I'm going to glue that. Might be my daughter. She typically calls me on Saturdays. She needs a babysitter today, so. Alright, so we got that. And then we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to run some, see if I've got enough here for that. Oh yeah. And I don't need all that on there, but I think I'm going to do it. So I'm going to run a little bit of glue here. Put this in there. All right. Oops, sorry. Got you out of frame. So sorry about that. And then we're just going to run a little bit around there. It's real light. Now this glue doesn't seem to do it so much that I've noticed, but some glues, hot glues, whoops. Some hot glues kind of yellow with age. This one doesn't seem to do it. And I think I try to buy most of my hot glue. Walmart seems to have about the best price on it, unless you can get it on sale. But they have the bigger bags. Oh, I got to get that. Hello. Hi. Can I call you back? I'm doing a video.
Oh, are you? Is Dad working?
No, but I'll call you back.
Oh, okay.
Bye. Sorry about that. I told you I thought it was my daughter. All right. So we're just going to snip that off there, because we don't need all of that. All right. Sorry. I figured it was her. She's about the one that calls me the most. I don't think she can go very long without talking to her mom, which is fine. All right. So, well, maybe this time. No. I don't know what I do with my other. There it is. Oh, and I don't have enough of that. So we're just going to leave that like that. And I can actually, maybe I'll run the pearls along there. Yeah, we'll run those pearls along there. So I need about that much of the pearls. Those are pretty. Again, we're going to start at our back line. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. There we go. Yeah, that'll be nice and pretty. These I also got at Hobby Lobby. Now some of these things I've had for a while, but I think the last time I was in there they still had these. They look like teardrops to me or something. Or these things go together quite quickly, really. And you can do whatever you want, coordinate to your room. They make nice gifts, you know, homemade gifts for teachers or family members that you don't can't afford to spend a lot of money on, but you like to give them a little something, you know. And then sometimes these little gifts from the heart mean more than an expensive item. All right, I mean, this is our last little line. Okay. And I'm actually going to cut that little bit off. I cut just a little bit too long. There. There. All right. That is it. So that was our 3 we did today. And they turned out pretty good. Like I said, you could add more to this if you want. But these are just going to be sitting in my craft room holding my stuff. So, all right. You all have a great rest of your day. And I'll be back with you soon. Bye-bye.